community. So we encountered the problem that we can't supply enough rice for local community. As I mentioned before, 91% of the land we used to cultivate the economical crop. So if we actually can cultivate the rice between the space between the tree, it will make the land more efficiently, right? So that's why our researcher, Associate Professor Dr. Rumjit Nokhau, she started researching about the upland rice. And she gathering all the upland rice in southern part, which has around 30 rice species. And then she selected 11 of those, which can be seen here, or 11 of them. Okay? And she also distributed these 11 rice to community, and then share the knowledge how to cultivate this efficiently. And finally, she came up with only 4 that is very suitable to cultivate the upland rice in shading area, which are Phu Khao Thong rice, the Dok Kham, the Lep Nok, and Sam Duan species.
Okay, I think that this project will benefit to the household consumption and for sale in the local market. And I already know that the word FIGHT has a hidden meaning. Could you explain more about it?
Well, actually, FIGHT is actually KMTL norm as well. But for the upland rice, first we have the identity or the unique of the upland rice, as I mentioned before, right? And then we set the target. We have 3 targets. The first one is H. H is mean help or healthy, help the community, right? And then we do the food supply for local community. And in the future, we may go to the global community, which is G, global. Yeah, so it's FIGHT.
Like fight global crisis, if we fight and work together, we can tackle any challenges. And what is this? It looks so interesting. Can I pick one?
Yes. We support local community to produce healthy cookie and keymode snack from farmer in Chumphon province.
Wow, that's very interesting. It can help the local community
yes.
with this supply.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay, after that, we will take you to the School of Engineering, KMITL booth, but I will tell overall about it. When we think of the engineering, we think like a telecommunication, AI, and robotics, but unexpectedly, they also provide a probiotic mango teens juice beverage that made by the Mobile Food Processing Plant Design project for the food process from the Department of the Food Engineering. This is a product that comes from the food processing. Okay, next. We will take you to the School of Food Industry that has a lot of unexpected food, okay? And I would like to know that what is the KMITL 60 years go beyond the limit from the local ingredients to healthy cuisine?
So this one is the 2 books of the School of Food Industry will be published to the people. Okay. So we had the 2 books. This one is the healthy menu foods created by our school. That is the menu from our lecturers and the professional chef, also our students too. So the profits from there is donated to the พระจอมเกล้าเจ้าคุณทหาร hospitals. And this one is the free downloads of the ebook, 62 research about healthy foods. Everyone would like to focus and the healthy of innovation will be published in here. So you can download the links on the websites of the KMITL or the faculty website too. Mm-hmm.
Actually, it contains a lot of special receipts because I have one. Yeah. And if you buy it, it means that you are donating to build the hospital also.
Yes, and also the tax discount 200%.
Okay. And next we will take you see the variety of foods here. Can you explain me more about this? This is very good.
Okay, actually this one we make for the community service, or we call as social service for Samut Sakhon province. So they have a lot of coconut, and we want to value added coconut from the farmer, right? Make it to be more like a variety of the products to value add up of the products. So this one is like the crispy coconut is actually made from the coconut meat that already getting old. Like it's very hard, right? So they try to make it more flexible, turn it to be cracker, and want to expand the shelf life of the products and try to serve the community. So right now, with the people like the farmer and the social can sell this one in the market already. And this one is actually made from the coconut flour. So it's on top of the tree. And basically this syrup normally is separate into different layers. So they try to develop the process to make the syrup to be just mono layer, right? So to make it to be homogenized. And for this one with the dragon fruit, so you all know the dragon fruit, right? We can keep it just for the short time. So we try to make it to be jelly for the kids in the communities, right? And expand the shelf life of the products itself.
Actually, I love this one because it's very interesting. The gluten-free pizza that with the Thai insect flour.
Right. So this one is made from pupae, right? It's like one type of the insect. So the insect flour is actually gluten-free. So to make with the insect flour, it has a high protein fiber, omega-3 and 6. So it can supplement usage of the meat. As well as right now we're concerned about the carbon footprint that made from the methane of the animal. So if you get the protein from the insect, then it would be more wonderful, right? That you can reduce the number of the carbon footprint for the environment.
Okay, after the event, I will come again
Sure,
to try it a little bit.
Okay, sure, of course. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Okay, KMITL places a high value on innovation in the area of food security and sustainability. Also, we aim to help the community and benefit the Thai people and global society. Actually, we would like to thank all of the booths that attended this event, and the event will actually begin in a moment. See you at the next following session, and I will turn the floor to Ajahn Nakon ka.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to KMITL, and on behalf of King Mongkut's Institute of Technology, Ladkrabang, I would like to extend a very, very warm welcome to everyone here in KMITL BKK Campus Hall, to the 8th APEC Media Focus Group on APEC and Food Security, Sustainability Beyond Global Uncertainties, and co-hosted by KMITL, the Thai Public Broadcasting Service, or ThaiPBS, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I am Nakkon Bunyarit, Deputy Director, KMITL's Office of General Education. และสำหรับแขกผู้มีเกียรตินะครับที่เป็นชาวไทยหากต้องการที่จะรับการแปลเป็นภาษาไทยนะครับท่านสามารถที่จะรับหูฟังได้ที่บริเวณจุดลงทะเบียนนะครับผมเรามีบริการแปลเซสชั่นในวันนี้ด้วยนะครับทั้งเป็นภาษาอังกฤษและภาษาไทยขอบพระคุณครับ And today's program we are focusing on food security and global uncertainties. And of course, KMITL as a leading university in Thailand with expertise in development of innovation and technology that sustain the well-being of the country, KMITL has been working very hard to ensure sustainability of the food supply to the countries and the world population. Ladies and gentlemen, and today we have a great honor from our distinguished guests, moderators and panelists in a special talk on APEC and food security, sustainability beyond global uncertainties. Ladies and gentlemen, may I start the event today with a video presentation on APEC's mission for global sustainability and also KMITL video presentation on KMITL 62nd anniversary and its mission on technology and innovation development in Thailand.
กว่า 33 ปี APEC ไม่เคยหยุดพัฒนาเพื่ออนาคตเศรษฐกิจที่เปิดกว้างเชื่อมโยงและสมดุล
ไม่หยุดเปิดรับโอกาสใหม่ๆเพื่อช่วยผลักดันการค้าการลงทุนไปสู่ระดับโลก
ไม่หยุดเปิดรับนวัตกรรมใหม่ๆเพื่อเพิ่มผลผลิตและสร้างความยั่งยืน
ไม่หยุดเปิดสู่การค้ารูปแบบใหม่เพื่อปรับตัวไปกับความเปลี่ยนแปลง
ไม่หยุดเชื่อมต่อเพื่อเชื่อมโยงภูมิภาคเข้าหากันและปลดล็อกศักยภาพที่ไร้ขีดจำกัด
ไม่หยุดเชื่อมโยงโอกาสใหม่ๆกับวิถีชีวิตแบบใหม่
ไม่หยุดเชื่อมโยงดิจิทัลให้ครอบคลุมทุกพื้นที่เพื่อสร้างความเติบโตที่ยั่งยืน
ไม่หยุดเชื่อมโยงเทคโนโลยีเพื่อสุขภาวะที่ดีและเศรษฐกิจที่ก้าวไปข้างหน้า
ไม่หยุดคิดค้นนวัตกรรมแปรรูปอาหารเพื่อลดขยะ
ไม่หยุดคิดค้นนวัตกรรมเพื่อสร้างสมดุลให้อนาคตที่ยั่งยืนของพวกเรา
เพราะเราไม่เคยหยุดมุ่งมั่นเพื่อวันข้างหน้าที่ดีวันนี้เราจึงพร้อมเปิดกว้างทุกโอกาสเชื่อมโยงในทุกมิติและสร้างสมดุลในทุกด้าน
สถาบันเทคโนโลยีพระจอมเกล้าเจ้าคุณทหารลาดกระบังสถาบันการศึกษาชั้นนำระดับโลกมุ่งสู่ความเป็นเลิศทางด้านงานวิจัยและเทคโนโลยีเราไม่ได้เป็นแค่เพียงสถาบันที่ให้ความรู้เพียงอย่างเดียวแต่เราคือสถาบันการศึกษาที่สอนประสบการณ์ชีวิตและพัฒนาองค์ความรู้ทางการศึกษาอย่างไม่หยุดนิ่งเพื่อให้ทันโลกและตอบโจทย์ต่อทุกการเปลี่ยนแปลง 24 สิงหาคม 2503 โดยความร่วมมือจากรัฐบาลญี่ปุ่นร่วมก่อตั้งศูนย์ฝึกโทรคมนาคมนนทบุรีจุดเริ่มต้นของการวางรากฐานทางการศึกษาจุดเริ่มต้นของการพัฒนาอย่างไม่หยุดนิ่งกว่า 6 ทศวรรษจนเป็นสถาบันเทคโนโลยีพระจอมเกล้าเจ้าคุณทหารลาดกระบังในปัจจุบันที่นี่เราพร้อมสนับสนุนทุกความคิดเห็นเพื่อร่วมกันพัฒนาสจล.ให้ก้าวไปข้างหน้าที่นี่เรามุ่งมั่นพัฒนาศักยภาพด้านการแพทย์เพื่อดูแลทุกคนอย่างเท่าเทียมที่นี่เราขยายพื้นที่สีเขียวและการออกแบบเพื่อคนทั้งมวลเพื่อให้สถาบันพร้อมเป็นแหล่งเรียนรู้สำหรับคนทุกคนที่นี่เราสนับสนุนทุกงานวิจัยและผลักดันให้ทุกความฝันเป็นความจริง
ต่อจากนี้พวกเราจะลุยไปด้วยกันเพื่อสถาบันและเพื่อพวกเราทุกคนลุยครับ
62 ปีสถาบันเทคโนโลยีพระจอมเกล้าเจ้าคุณทหารลาดกระบังเราจะร่วมกันเดินไปข้างหน้านำพาสถาบันแห่งนี้มุ่งสู่เป้าหมายเดียวกัน The World Master of Innovation เพื่อพวกเราเพื่อชาวสจล.และเพื่ออนาคตของคนไทยทุกคน KMITL Fight Together
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me with a big round of applause for KMITL and APEC. Thank you very much. And on this occasion, may I invite Associate Professor Dr. Komsan Malisi, Acting President of KMITL, for a welcoming remark on the stage, please.
Dear esteemed delegates and honorable guests, food security is a state in which everyone, regardless of physical ability or economic means, has sufficient access to food at all times. Furthermore, the food received must be safe and nutritious for the body. To achieve satisfaction and respond appropriate to food security, the production of raw material used in cooking must be planned to allow for preservation, including research to develop innovative foods that allow us to use fewer raw material and reduce cooking time, while also being a superfood that provide energy and useful nutrients for young children, parents, and the elderly. King Mongkut Institute of Technology Ladkrabang have given importance to innovation related to food security and sustainability. We have done extensive research on how to preserve food longer. The food industry team collaborated to produce 100,000 ready-to-eat meals and deliver them to victims of the 2015 earthquake in Nepal, including high-energy foods such as immune-boosting beverages, Mahachanok mango juice, probiotic and prebiotic by the Department of Food Engineering, which were distributed to the elderly during the COVID-19 epidemic. Local plants such as live for or herbal products from the Faculty of Agriculture, Technology, and KMITL Chumphon campus were also included in the zero waste innovation along with leftover from the agriculture and food industry. Today, our institute brought relevant research to demonstrate to the ambassadors, representatives from various economic zones, media teams, and Ministry of Foreign Affairs representatives to see our potential and commitment to produce research in food security and innovation. This research aims to be practical in the job creation for the community and benefits the Thai people and global society to achieve our goal to be the world master of innovation. It is now time to start the event. I would like to welcome everyone to the APEC Media Focus Group and express my gratitude to everyone who contribute to today's success. This focus group will be on APEC and food security, sustainability beyond global uncertainty. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
And I would like to thank Associate Professor Komsan Malisi for his insightful speech. And please have a seat. Right. Every person has a right to be able to get food, and that is both nutritious and plentiful. However, there are many causes leading to food insecurity. To address the issues, we then have a discussion on APEC and food security, sustainability beyond global uncertainties. And according to Associate Professor Komsan's vision, if we fight together, we can tackle any challenges. And next, I would like to invite Mr. Thani Sangrat, Director General, Department of Information, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, to give the opening remarks. Please welcome.
Very good afternoon. I'm very excited to be here on your campus today. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Thani, by the way.
So sorry.
Just Thani. Dr. Komsan Malisi, Acting President of King Mongkut Institute of Technology, Ladkrabang, Excellencies, distinguished guests, panelists, members of the diplomatic corps, Madam Ambassador from the Philippines, welcome. Media, FCCT, welcome. Faculty, staff, students, and guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I am pleased to join with King Mongkut Institute of Technology, Ladkrabang, KMITL, and the Thai Public Broadcasting Service, ThaiPBS, in welcoming you to the 8th APEC Media Focus Group, or AMF. First of all, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to Associate Professor Dr. Komsan Malisi, Acting President of the KMITL, for your welcome remarks, and to the KMITL executives, staff, students, for your efforts to make this afternoon possible. Thank you for working with us, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And our special thanks also go to today's media partner, ThaiPBS, our longtime partner, for your support in enabling us to reach out to a wider audience, such as the students on campus today. I am grateful to Dr. Nattha Komolvadhin for kindly agreeing to be the moderator for today's roundtable discussion. My gratitude also goes to our panelists who come from a broader range of sectors this time around than at previous AMFs. We have had 7 of them before on different topics and issues. In addition to the private sector, the government, media, academia, and youth representatives, we also warmly welcome His Excellency, the New Zealand Ambassador, and the Director for the USAID Regional Development Mission, representing the previous and incoming APEC host economies, respectively. Distinguished guests, this is our 8th and hopefully final AMF, hopefully final. As we are very close to the APEC Leaders Month already, we are on our last leg on our journey, APEC 2022 journey, culminating in the APEC Economic Leaders Week in November. We're all breathing APEC now, 18th and 19th of November. That's our final date. So our AMF series have included deep dives into the themes and priorities of our host year, covering significant issues such as the Eastern Economic Corridor, or the EEC, smart cities and connectivity, business and sustainability, MSMEs, women in business in Chiang Mai, and startups and innovation as well. So today, the roundtable tackles another vital issue, food security. In Thailand, we'll celebrate the abundance, diversity, and international recognition of our cuisine, culture, and agricultural and industrial food outputs, but also appreciate that at the core, food remains a matter of human and community survival. Within the international economy, the path from the fields and waters to our shops and tables is an increasingly complex supply chain, which involves and affects many throughout our region and beyond. As an incubator of ideas, APEC has been a key forum where food security deliberations have occurred and where concepts, plans, and actions have been elaborated, all principally guided by the Food Security Roadmap towards 2030, which was adopted in 2021. So recently, at the 7th APEC Food Security Ministerial Meeting, which was chaired by Thailand's Minister of Agriculture and Cooperatives on 26th of August 2022, that meeting adopted the implementation plan for the roadmap and recognized a number of themes. Number 1, the challenges posed by the food security crisis. Food security crisis. Theme number 2 that was addressed by the ministerial meeting was the burden placed on prices, supply chains, trade, and access to food resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and ongoing recovery. And the third theme that was adopted was the extensive follow-on effects and implications of the food system on other sectors and phenomena from health, industry innovation, social empowerment, and climate change. I trust that today's panelists from the Thai government, as APEC practitioners, as well as other panelists, through their discussions today, will illuminate on the impact and outcomes of these issues within APEC and beyond, making them better understood by the public. Distinguished guests, for the conclusion of our AMF series, I wish to also thank Mae Pha Luang Foundation under royal patronage, Krispy Kreme that is outside, Donuts, Thailand, and True Corporation for your support for this event. My warm greetings are also extended to our APEC communication partners, some of whom are represented here today, and I thank them for their part in APEC Thailand 2022. So I hope all of you will find our proceedings this afternoon engaging and insightful, and thank you all for joining us. ขอบคุณครับ
Thank you very much, Director General, Department of Information, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Thani Sangrat, for the opening remarks. And now we would like to invite Mr. Thani and Khematia present on the stage, please, for our photo session, please. Yes, please, on the stage, sir. We are having the photo session with all the guests, okay? And may I cordially invite Dr. Nattha Komolvadhin, Director of ThaiPBS World or ThaiPBS on the stage, please, and followed by His Excellencies, Mr. Jonathan Kings, Ambassador of New Zealand to Thailand, please, sir. And Dr. Steve Olive, Director of USAID Regional, please. Dr. Steve Olive, Director of USAID Regional Development, Mission for Asia, the Embassy of the United States of America, and the others, guests and panels, please.
Like King Mongkut Institute of Technology Ladkrabang places a high value on innovation in the area of food security and sustainability, and we hope that our research will create jobs for the community, benefit the Thai people and global society to achieve our goal to be the world master of innovation.
Yes, of course, and apparently the spread of COVID-19 has evidently caused uncertainties in Thailand agricultural trade flows and also in global economy. So in every crisis, concerns regarding food security awareness are raised, and a wide variety of suggestions are generally made on how to solve the problems and develop sustainable food system to ensure survival of the country's population. And also many different proposals for food security have been fruitfully advocated, ranging from global, country, community, household to individual levels. And in our roundtable session today, there will be a review and discussion on these issues of food security, and also regarding global uncertainties in the Thai context. Thank you very much, Dr. Khomsan Marisi and Mr. Thani. And we'll have the panels on the stage, please. Please stay seated on the stage.
We will begin the roundtable session.
อีกครั้งนะครับผมสำหรับแขกผู้มีเกียรตินะครับที่วันนี้เซสชั่นของเราจะเป็นการดิสคัสนะครับแล้วเป็นภาษาอังกฤษถ้าท่านไหนที่อยากจะรับการฟังนะครับการอภิปรายในครั้งนี้เป็นภาษาไทยเรามีบริการแปลนะครับสามารถรับหูฟังนะครับได้ที่จุดลงทะเบียนด้านหน้าเลยนะครับ Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, on this occasion, could you please welcome our moderator for today's session, Dr. Nattha, Komolvadhin, Director of ThaiPBS World.
And our moderator today is a stunning director and reporter with a lot of talent. And we also have the honorable panelists from a variety of fields today. First one, the representative from the public sector, Ms. Parinat Apirat, Deputy Director General Department of International Economic Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
And please welcome Ms. Pasini Natpompe, Senior Policy and Plan Analysis, Office of Agricultural Economics, Ministry of Agriculture and Cooperatives.
And the representatives from the academy and the private sector, Associate Professor Dr. Napadrapi Leungsakul, Dean of School of Food Industry, KMITL.
And please welcome Mr. Sirichet Jirapongwatana, CEO, Mantra Plant-Based Seafood.
And the representatives from the media and youth, Kun Panu Wongchaum, Senior Correspondent for Reuters and President of the Foreign Correspondent Club of Thailand.
Thank you. And Ms. Thanyasini Ratanapon, student of Culinary Science and Food Service Management Program in KMITL.
And Mr. Pichaya Pichai Ronarong Songkham, student of Faculty of Medicine, KMITL.
And our representative from APEC member economies, His Excellency Mr. Jonathan King, Ambassador of New Zealand to Thailand, previous host economy. And also Dr. Steve Olive, Director USAID Regional Development Mission for Asia, Embassy of United States of America to Thailand. So may I now start the session. A big round of applause for our session, please.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests and Your Excellency. Before I start, let me thanking the Associate Professor Komsan and Director General Thani for your welcoming and opening remarks for all of us. And let me introduce myself. I am Nattha Komolvadhin from ThaiPBS World, and as we are very happy as we are on board as one of the co-hosts of this very important event for this roundtable discussion. And I'm sure today we will have very fruitful discussion from our experts who are leader and thinker in many parts of the food security program, and that will be very important contribution for APEC. And as for Director General Thani mentioned, this is the last of the series of AMS, so we have to make it special, and we will make it in conversation style, not very particular presentation style like the previous one. So, but every one of you have already got some list of the questions, so you just like be prepared and take yourself and take it easy. But of course, you have to address the question from my questions, and you can like address freely. But we have totally 90 minutes, and we have 9 speakers. So I will try to control the time limit for about 10 minutes for each of you. And we will open up for the floor for questions for 1 or 2, and then right now we are live streaming as well, so we will take probably 1 question from live streaming from ThaiPBS and Thai MFA channel. So before we start to the panelists, so let me start with some of the statistics about food security. Talking about food security, it's become quite a problem, dramatic problem around the world. From the 53 economies right now, the number of people facing acute food insecurity is more than 190 million in 53 economies. So imagine this topic will be discussed among APEC leaders among 21 economies in November this year in Thailand. So let's see how they will pursue from the shared statement on the 7th ministerial meeting on food security, which just wrapped up in August. But I'm just wondering what our experts will be discussing in terms of pursuing the issue of food security and what we can expect to see the substantial outcome from the leaders meeting in APEC to be happening in Bangkok this year. So before long, let me begin with Ms. Prinat Apirat, the Deputy Director General of the Department of International Economic Affairs at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. As you can see that she has been working in this area for many years. And also, you also play important role on the Japan-Thailand Economic Partnership Agreement. So you are one of the experts on this subject in Thailand. So what can you tell us about the framework of food security for Thailand as the host country this year on APEC? And what are the main pain points coming up on food security?
Sure, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Nattha, for the questions. And also, I'm not sure if I'm exactly an expert on this issue. More of maybe someone who's been working on this. Thank you. Thank you. But I'll certainly try to address some of the questions that you've raised. And perhaps if I may, since I'm the first speaker, to set the scene a little bit on the issue of food security and how it relates to the work and the ongoing conversation in APEC, before my colleagues fill in with all the details and whatnot of the discussions. As Dr. Komsan correctly mentioned just now,
do you mind?
Okay. As Dr. Komsan certainly pointed out earlier on the importance of food security and also the statistics you'd mentioned, and the need and the importance of access to food and secure food supplies and whatnot. Food security is certainly undeniably an important issue that we cannot avoid. And APEC member economies were very well positioned to discuss this issue. APEC member economies, we produce about 50% of cereal production, 70% of the fisheries production, and 35% of the global agricultural commodities. So in that aspect, we all have quite a bit of a stake in agricultural production as well. Now, how does the conversation in APEC relate to food security, and how does it relate to us as consumers? I'd like to highlight about 3 points of 3 aspects, I guess, of food security. First would be the production process. Second would be the distribution process. And thirdly would be sustainable food systems. So in the first aspect of the production process of the food, the raw materials before it becomes the edible products that we get either at the supermarket or from the street food here in Thailand or restaurants from farm to table, essentially. The food production aspect, it involves some of the ongoing conversations that we talk about at APEC involves cooperation in terms of using technology to help improve the efficiency and the productivity of farmers and food producers so that we can produce food more efficiently. And certainly, we can't work on this up by ourselves. It helps to learn from best practices from other member economies, to share what we've learned, to learn from one another's mistakes, not to have to reinvent the wheel. Another aspect that we talk about in the production process is on standards and conformity, which essentially means the safety of the food products and the agricultural products that we consume. So when we talk about standards and conformance, we're talking about what are the basic guidelines, the health guidelines, the requirements, sanitary requirements that's involved in both in the rearing process as well, not just the production process in and of itself. So it's very much a circular, and it's all very much connected. It's all connected motion and the production process. The second process would be in the distribution. In terms of distribution, what we also talk about in APEC would be more of just getting the food products that are produced or even the raw materials to the end market, to the consumers again. So what is that process like? How is that all connected? How do we get food from point A to point B? Another aspect that we also talk about is the use of technology in connecting the local producers, food products, agricultural products, to the international market. Actually, one of the projects that the Department of International Economic Affairs is working on, we call it the local to global. In that we talk about local products reaching the global market, but that is still very much related to the conversation here as well, how we connect producers to the end market of the consumers.
We can see the long line that you are explaining, but what are major pain points as long as you have been working on this issue in terms of distributing food to the market?
Right, so that brings us to the third point of sustainable food systems. This is exactly the pain point that we need to address. COVID-19 most recently has shown us all the imbalance that is going on in the production process, not just in the agricultural food production system, but also in the way we do business. And it's also shown us the need for a whole of society approach on how we need to address this issue. So the issue of sustainability and balance is key to our conversation. How do we ensure that we conserve our natural resources and also preserve the biodiversity of our environment? How do we ensure that we address the issue of sustainable waste management so we head towards zero waste? Again, these are some of the things that we talk about in the APEC arena so that we can address these points. And this very much ties into the theme of our APEC Thailand host year, Open, Connect, and Balance. Open, focusing on open trade investment, reducing cost to trade, reducing the cost of the products that we buy at the supermarket, the final product that we get at the restaurants we order and go out to eat. Connecting in terms of connecting the producers and the suppliers, connecting markets, connecting supply chains, ensuring what can we do to ensure a smooth supply chain, what do we do in the face of supply chain disruptions, of the challenges that we're now facing, and certainly balance sustainable food systems I had mentioned before. And this also leads into one of our key deliverables, which is the Bangkok goals and the BCG economy, which is the overarching theme of APEC host year. And here, I think it really encapsulates some of the key issues that we're talking about. This whole society approach, the government sector in setting up the regulatory framework and the policies to lead the way, the cooperation and the partnership between the private sector and academia, of course, to find innovative ways both in terms of production and also in terms of adding value to the products that we produce and consume, and certainly in terms of consumers, being responsible consumers, talking about sustainable business practices and how we can encourage these practices throughout the process.
Okay, thank you very much. So right now we can see what's the framework and broad overview that you have been doing for APEC framework and set up the big agenda for other parties to pursue, and we can see what's the situation that is going on. So right now let me move on to Ms. Pasini Napompet, Senior Policy and Plan Analyst at the Office of Agricultural Economics, Ministry of Agriculture and Cooperative. You can be one of APEC focal main points in terms of agricultural sector as well. So can you tell us what have you been doing and what's your main focus in terms of food security for APEC?
Okay, first of all, thank you for having me here, and it's just a great honor for me to have a conversation on this seminar. And regarding your questions, I would like to give the introduction about APEC and food security first. APEC and food security become the major concern of APEC more than 10 years ago. And we have the first APEC food security ministerial meeting in Japan in 2010. That marks the importance of food security in APEC. And then they plan to have the ministerial meeting in every 2 years. 1 year later, APEC thought that they need the arm or the mechanism to work on policy issue on food securities. So they established the PPFS, which is called Policy Partnership on Food Securities. And this mechanism is the one who trying to get the outcome from the APEC in terms of to drive the APEC economies to to work on food securities. And the outcome is the roadmap. We have the first roadmap in 2014, and then that roadmap ended in 2020. And then the New Zealand host year 2021 developed the APEC food security roadmap towards 2030s. And that roadmap, they stated in the roadmap saying that the action that was stated in the roadmap are not activities that can reach the food securities, but they are the action that APEC possibly do it and can achieve the food security in some certain way. And then in the roadmap, there are 6 key action areas and 27 actions. And Thailand, as the host year 2022, committed to work on the implementation plan of the roadmap. And at the ministerial meeting on food security that Director General just mentioned, that we endorsed the implementation plan of the roadmap. And that implementation plan will include the objective of the actions, will include the individual action of APEC economies, the collective actions, evaluation of progress, the targets, and also the volunteer lead economies. I mean, in each action for New Zealand and also the US effort, thank you very much, we have 21 lead economy out of 27 action, which is a good sign that we can really work on food security towards 2030. And I'm speaking on behalf of the government who work on food security and agricultural technical cooperation. We are, I mean, for the PPFS, we are the one who developed the text of the implementation plan together with APEC economies and also the share statement that Director General just mentioned earlier. And at that statement, we are trying to put key role of food security, which are securities, safety, and sustainabilities. And we call it 3S, which is the policies of Ministry of Agriculture of Cooperative of Thailand. And then we try to explain it into 5 areas. The first one is about food safety and trade facilitation. The second one is improving livelihoods of the people. And the third one is to sustainability of natural resources and environment. The fourth one would be digital innovation in agri sector. And the last one is about balancing economy, social and environment with BCG model. So this is what we are working on.
Yes. Just wondering, because you said there are 21 economies in APEC which have to follow 27 actions.
Yes.
That's quite a lot to make sure to have food security. Can you just give us some example of those action from 27 action, or the major concern coming up from those actions that probably some economies may not be following or cannot make it apparent?
Yeah, actually we have to come up with the principle of APEC, which is the voluntary. It means that APEC economies can volunteer to work on each action. We don't have the legal binding, but I would like to give you an example for Thailand. Thailand and the United States, we lead to one action together, which is to create the implementation plan. I would like to say that in the 27 actions, there are some actions that ended right away. There are some actions that need the long run of the performance. For example, the action about digitalization and innovation. Like the Korea, economy Korea, they committed to work on the digitalization and innovation in terms of promoting smart agriculture in the economies, and they can do it both by their own economies or to have the capacity building in together with APEC economy, APEC member, and they plan to do it from the year, they did it last year, 2021, this year, 2022, and they plan to do it until 2025. So this is one of example.
That's great. So we can also learn from each other economies,
Yes,
and South
exactly.
Korea is one of the examples.
Yes.
Let me move on to Associate Professor Dr. Nattha, Dean of the School of Food Industry, KMITL, because you also work on this issue of food industry of the School of Food Industry. Can you tell us about the program of the food industry that can support agenda of the APEC food security?
Okay, thank you very much for having me here, and thank you for your questions. And I will start with our vision. Our School of Food Industry, we have the visions of the World Master of Food Innovation, which is comply with the KMITL. Our institution vision is the World Master of Innovation. This one, we have commit to making the impact, the destructive impact on the food world through the food science and technology, and also the food innovation, and also education, innovative research, and also community service. This one make us to make the theme of our research team in our faculty is the food is the medicine to mankind. This one is comply and aligned with the BCG model of government policy or the food development by using the local produce and also reduce the food waste. This one is make us to comply with the food security. And also, our school, we have the expertise can divide into 6 clusters. The first one is the innovative food packaging for food preservation and global concern. And the second one is nutraceutical products. And the third one is food process engineering for increasing efficacy and efficiency on food products. The fourth one is the microorganism in food industry. And the fifth one, functional and healthy food snack and beverage. And the last one is food safety and innovative food analysis method. And also we have conduct some research on waste utilization, such as collagen extractions from fish skin to produce the edible packaging, and also the baked snack with low GI from jackfruit seed flour. All these topics, we concern about the nutrition sustainability on the good health and well-being, and also the waste reduction. This one is comply with the food security.
I'm sure there are so many different generations among APEC population. And what's the role of the school in terms of promoting food, especially for new generation? We also share this panel with our youth, new generation as well. So what's the role of the school in terms of promoting food for new gen or for sustainability?
Okay. We incorporate the concept of the food system and sustainability in the curriculum and extracurriculum on our students. We believe that learning by doing and also knowledge and the skill should be built together in the same time for our next generation. We have done a lot of projects to help the community assistant or community entrepreneur, such as the street food, to help them to promote the food safety and food standard, food hygiene to the street vendor, and also the smart food truck. We help them to upskill and reskill to promote all the quality, such as the food safety, food quality, and food healthy to be smarter, and also help the entrepreneurship, bakery entrepreneurship, to apply for the Thai FDA approval. A lot of projects, we recruit our students to join in and ask and teach them and let them to learn by themselves, such as they learn with the entrepreneur to help them for setting the food safety standard. Because all the entrepreneur, all that, some kinds of the class lose, so they don't know at all for the food safety system. They help them and they help have the partnership with them, and also the FDA, they prepare the documents for FDA mechanism and chemical. So all these projects, we let our students to learn by doing and to learn on the real world. They have the soft skill and they learn from the real world, that they learn the empathy skill, and also they know themselves for prepare themselves to the well living in their future.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nattha, for sharing your views on food security and the School of Food Industry of KMITL. And you mentioned entrepreneurship, so it's time to move on to business sector. Mr. Sirichet, who is CEO of Mantra Plant-Based Seafood, you have ample of experience in food industry. So what's the role of business sector that you think can promote to help promote APEC food security agenda?
Hello. Okay, thank you for everyone. Okay, P. Sirichet from the Mantra Plant-Based Seafood. Because our business, we focus for the plant-based, but we focus also the focus for the seafood. We do the plant-based seafood. That we found a lot of problem in the world. But now you can heard a lot of the problem from the cloud, from the land, from the CO2 a lot, right? But I think the problem from the sea waste is a lot of. That be why we have the product and the produce the product for the plant-based seafood. But I think because about the sea waste, about the pollution from the factory, from the seafood factory, is come a lot of the pollution. Because when I was in the childhood, I live in the river. But now everything is changed because of the seafood factory, because of any factory make the pollution. But we are the small company, but we are the SME company. But I think we can make something to change, to make the reducing, to produce about the real thing of the seafood. Yeah, that's why we have the plant-based seafood, and we try to think about for the waste, also the nutrition. Our product, we thinking about why people stop and sometimes stop to eat the real things and move to eat the plant-based or any future food in Thailand or any APEC country. That is really important, is the nutrition and about the innovation and about the texture and the taste is much closely and similar as the real thing. Yeah.
So you plan to innovate more on seafood, which is plant-based.
Yep.
And do you see it as a solution for population among APEC economies?
Yep. Because about the, I think the consumption of the seafood is a lot of the APEC country. But everyone try to focus, okay, don't want to eat the beef or the chicken or pork. But the seafood consumption is really big amount. That we try to approach them to change the life.
So what's your plan to pursue this agenda of plant-based seafood? And how can you convince the other economies or APEC members to believe in this agenda?
Okay, but now our business, we focus for the export to the APEC country, to any country in the world. But we go to the exhibition, we go to the trade fair, to promoting how the plant-based seafood, our plant-based seafood is different. what is the important thing, what is the advantage. I don't want you to stop to eat the real thing, but I want only sometime or someday, something like in Thailand now, it's a vegetarian week, right? Okay, just you stop eat the real thing and move to eat the plant-based or the future food. Any vegetarian is okay. That you can help the world to protect about any pollution from the world.
Just wondering what's the taste like?
Okay, frankly speaking, okay, I plant-based in Thailand or plant-based in the APEC country. Okay, its taste is not exactly same as the real thing, but I think we have a more advantage about the protein, about the no any cholesterol and high fiber, high iron. But the plant-based product, for any plant-based product, we need the shape. We need to how to cook, how to use in your daily life, in your menu life, something like this.
So it's about mindset, about food as
Yeah.
well, to promote food security. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As our panel is AMS, APEC Media Focus AMF, so Mr. Phanut Wongchaum, Senior Correspondent for Reuters and currently President of the Foreign Correspondents Club of Thailand, FCCT, you would be like the best person to share with us the experience of media. And because you have direct experience when Thailand hosting APEC in 2003, what's the issue or agenda of food security like back then? And how do you think this time APEC 2022 can promote or raise awareness of food security?
I think, well, first of all, thank you. I think, first of all, I think there's a lot of differences between 2003 and this year. The world is a different place, food security and otherwise. The global trade system has changed significantly. And the disruption we're seeing right now is very different from sort of the geopolitical situation back in 2003. Back then, this part of the world was coming out of the 1997 financial crisis. The global order was more cohesive, less turbulent, if you like. This year, we're seeing war disrupting trade, war disrupting commodities, raising price of commodities relating to food security. So that's a major thing. I think in terms of news, I think you can categorize it in three different layers, sort of the short term, the medium term, the long term. The short term, of course, is how this multilateral grouping, APEC, will react to sort of the current crises, right? The wars, the weather disruption, trade disruption, and how that affecting food security, food prices, and also the logistic behind food in general. Then you have the medium term. When you look at the 2030 goals, you're talking about public-private partnership. You're talking about greater inclusivity. You know, how are these things are integrated? I think the media will be very interested in how these things are being integrated, how the food system in this region will change to meet the challenges and the goal set by 2030. And of course, the long term, the perennial question for all of us is climate change, right? How will APEC, you know, with all its intention, with the current geopolitical setting, how will the leaders kind of shape the long-term sort of goal and how, you know, how they'll shape long-term policy to cope with the climate change that we're seeing. I mean, look at the world right now compared to 2003. Those were not the big issue. Back then, they were still talking about Kyoto. You know, they were still talking about you know, different issues. That year, of course, there was also a health crisis, the SARS crisis. But this time around, we just came out of, you know, 2-3 years of a global pandemic. So I think the challenge this time around is much more severe, and also there's a lot of focus as at the time where the geopolitical tension will be sort of the main player. I think food security deserves a huge attention because there's a lot of impact from sort of the overall situation.
And for the role of the media, probably mostly media members would be interested in geopolitics, tension, and the leaders who are coming share their view or the group photo session. Do you think the food security will be like sexy enough to draw attention from media members?
Well, my respect to the officials in the room. I think it would be difficult to make food security sort of the primary focus of the media with everything else that's going on around the world. But at the same time, I do believe, and also including my own coverage of the summit, I think the ideas of disruption to trade, the ideas about price of commodity, those are things that are consistent media focus on a day-to-day basis. How APEC leaders and how officials shape the narrative and the policy and reacting to the situation in the world regarding those things, I think will be important, and that will also be, newsy enough, I think.
Thank you, Mr. Panu. We have two young gen panelists joining us, the two of them, Ms. Thanyasini and Mr. Pichaya. I'm just wondering whether you were born already in 2003? Ms. Thanyasini, can you tell us what year were you born?
I was only 1 year old during 2003, so I guess I'm not really sure if I know much during that time yet.
Yeah. So you would see how the world has been different back then and this year in 2022. But right now you have lots of experience and you have studied in KMITL, so you must be aware of social issue, food insecurity issue as well. So right now you are a student of Culinary Science and Food Service Management Program. If you can deliver or if you can talk to leaders or senior officials who are joining APEC, what do you like to tell them?
Well, I think during now, a lot of consumers are aware of healthy options with foods and that there are not enough foods as well. But I think there is a large group of people as well here, especially in Thailand, that are not aware of how to utilize ingredients and also how to keep their products as well.
And what do you like them to do more in terms of promoting food innovation or food security?
I think the best way is to instill them with education on this specifically at a young age, because when we teach them at a young age, they will find a sustainable solution and more effective as well.
Before we come on the stage, you told me that your main interest is about zero waste, food waste. So can you tell us what's your concern about food waste?
Well, zero waste, we can see that especially in food service. I previously worked in an internship program before coming back to study. And we can see that a lot of food services, they waste a lot of food. And it's hard to determine how many people come into this restaurants or hotel as well. So I think the best way to do that is to encourage people to learn how to utilize ingredients every bit. For example, peels or roots, we can use them in soup and stocks as well.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Thanyasini, for your view. Mr. Pichaya, how old were you in 2003?
Hello, I was 2. I was born in 2001.
Okay, so you are 1 year older than Kun Thanyasini.
Yes.
And right now you are a student of the Faculty of Medicine at KMITL. So what's your idea, what's your view, and if you have opportunity to address or to talk to leaders of APEC, what do you like to tell them regarding your concern on food security?
I think as a youth, as a student, the best thing we can do for now to help ensure the sustainability and food security is by learning. It's quite simple and basic. For students, we should be able to be the best of ourselves and be able to know what we're passionate about and learn it and educate it a lot, since nowadays we have technology which can aid us to study more and more than past. And I think that the best way that we can do education is by doing research. Here at Faculty of Medicine KMITL, we are given opportunity to do research depending on our topic of interest. And my research topic is about probiotics. So probiotics and prebiotics they can be found in food a lot. And that's why I'm here talking about researches and food innovation. Not only here that we are doing about probiotic, but I don't want to overrate probiotic, but also here at KMITL we are doing a lot of researches on food innovation, like the Dean have mentioned. And also, I think probiotics is quite important, but it's just a facet of the way of leading to good health. But also, if we can do more research in food innovation, and also across different countries, across different populations, we can kind of like make a database that we can share the data that we have, which arise from the research, and we can improve the food innovation, also the public health. And I think it's not just difference in the probiotic, but across population, but also in different ages. I'm talking about age because in Thailand we are entering the complete age society, and the majority of the population is obviously elderly. And probiotic can also be a supplement therapy, but add on to the mainstay treatment, especially will be more very beneficial for the elderly.
So how can probiotic and prebiotic, as you mentioned, promote food security?
Probiotic can help and improve the food security by I have to say that probiotic are good bacteria that live in your intestine, and it has association with a lot of many diseases. So if they all have died, or the good bacteria have been overcome by bad bacteria, it can cause many diseases like cardiovascular disease, hypertension, diabetes, and chronic kidney diseases. So in elderly patients, they somehow or somewhat can be cannot tolerate the mainstay treatment. So if we add on probiotic, it can somehow ameliorate or somehow can slow down the progression of diseases. So I think it's quite important. But I think probiotic nowadays is still quite not readily available and still expensive. If you go into a supermarket, probiotics supplement are still quite expensive. So if we can study more, do more researches on this field, but not just this field, also genetic, epigenetic, that can involve in diseases and also in food, we can come up with new intervention that can be more personalized to population, age, and also maybe individuals in the future.
Thank you very much. So probably our hope on food will depend very much on medicine and food innovation as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Pichaya and Ms. Thanyasini. Now let me move on to our previous host of APEC and incoming host. So it would be interesting to listen to your view, Ambassador, especially as New Zealand was the host of APEC last year before Thailand is the host country this year. So what's the issue or how pertinent of the issue of food security among APEC members in the discussion in New Zealand?
Food security is always an issue for APEC members. As one of the previous speakers said, since 2010 it's been on the agenda and there have been regular meetings. You started this conversation with the statistic that there are more than 190 million people who don't have access to the food they need. We know that unless we address that, we will not meet the Sustainable Development Goals. hungry children will not learn. Hungry is an example. So it is always an issue for APEC economies to be addressing food security. Last year it was a particular issue because during COVID the system ground to a halt. We had the worst health crisis for 100 years and the biggest economic crash since World War II. That had a huge impact. In New Zealand it meant that we didn't have the labour to pick the crops that had been produced last year. In New Zealand it meant that we didn't have the ships or the planes to get the food that we did produce to the markets. In Thailand and in other markets it meant that you didn't have, because people were in lockdown, the transport systems to get the food from the ships to the supermarkets and into people's houses. So that's a very tangible example of why food security is pertinent always and why it was particularly pertinent last year. This year, in Thailand's year of hosting, it's coping with the consequences of COVID and the consequences of the Russia-Ukraine war. Food prices have gone through the roof. Consumers cannot afford to buy the food that they previously could buy. That is an issue that all of the APEC economies are facing and we must all address.
And in New Zealand last year, the meeting take place online because the leader couldn't meet in person. But you have plan of action happening in New Zealand last year. Can you elaborate more and tell us more about that?
Yes, well last year the great achievement I think for New Zealand was that APEC happened. We had more than 350 virtual meetings. We had a special extraordinary leaders meeting, which is the first time that there has been an extraordinary leaders meeting to address COVID issues. We also achieved a number of tangible outcomes. One of them was the Aotearoa Plan of Action. Aotearoa is the Maori name for New Zealand. That plan of action is a 20-year work program. Why is that important? It is because every host of APEC builds on the work of the previous host. And we're trying to get in place an agreed work plan that all of the APEC countries could sign up to and give the APEC meetings a focus and an agreed program of work.
Thank you very much, Ambassador, for sharing your insight with us. Now let me move on to incoming host of APEC next year will be happening in the US. And what's Dr. Steve Olive, you are Director of USAID Regional Development Mission for Asia at the Embassy of the United States to Thailand. What's the work of USAID that you have done so far in terms of food security, and what's your plan to do more as incoming host next year?
Well, first I want to thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the King Mongkut's Institute for Technology and Ladkrabang for hosting this event and our panel today. It's an honor to be with all of you. As many of our panelists have said, and I agree, the global pandemics, especially the one that we're coming out of with COVID, was greatly disruptive on food supply and food chains that has led to the more food insecurity within the world. I also agree with some of the other panelists of the impacts of climate change, and especially those impacts that it has on agriculture and fish production. Thirdly, the ambassador and our media correspondent mentioned high energy and fertilization prices that are increasing food prices. And then also protracted conflicts like Russia's invasion in Ukraine has certainly disrupted food supplies around the world. You mentioned at the outset there there's 190 million people in the world that are food insecure. The World Food Program has estimated that there's going to be an additional 70 million people food insecure as a result of Russia's invasion into Ukraine. That's a 35% increase in food insecurity in the world just in this year. And while we're fortunate to be in Asia, where 60% of the population is here, and we are in Asia and Pacific region is a large producer of food, there still is a lot we can do through APEC to find ways to increase food, as many of our panelists have said, increase food production, deal with supply chain issues, and ensure sustainability of the food supply chain. And Ambassador Thani just returned from the United Nations General Assembly. And last week at that 77th General Assembly, President Biden announced that the U.S. government will provide an additional $2.9 billion to address food insecurity in the world. And that's on top of the $6.9 billion that we are already provided this year.
So what do you expect to see as the substantial outcome from APEC 2022 as the incoming host next year from the view of USAID?
I believe there's been tremendous cooperation between the New Zealand economy, the Thai economy, and the U.S. economy for consistently putting food insecurity at the top of the APEC agenda. The discussions that we have about innovation, about supply chains, and dealing with those at APEC is extremely valuable because APEC is at this since during APEC and Thailand's host year. We've been talking about what more the U.S. government could do here in Thailand. And as a result, when we host next year, our U.S. Department of Agriculture will be announcing a Food for Progress program on climate-smart agriculture that will provide $22 million in investments in climate-smart agricultural projects here in Thailand.
Thank you very much. Ms. Barinat, I think the agenda will be coming to you as you have been preparing all the talent team in Thailand to be contributing to APEC. You can hear all the expectations from the different parties. Do you think we're going to have like surprise result, outcome, or is it all set already of the APEC meeting? Or do you like to see more than you expect?
We all certainly have high expectations for APEC, and we have but I think we're on track.
Let me frame my question. So what would be expected outcome, like you can expect, and would it be probable to achieve higher than expected outcome?
Yes, we're actually quite optimistic in terms of our deliverables and our expected outcomes this year. The reason why I say that is because our objectives, I think we all share common objectives in this. Both, again, running through our three priorities, in terms of open trade investment, which is pretty much APEC's bread and butter. That's what we do. And as His Excellency had mentioned, this is a continuity of APEC's theme and priorities throughout several host years in ensuring this continuity. And in terms of the open trade investment and the facilitation of trade, we've actually made a great deal of progress. We are doing what we call a refresh conversation on the free trade area of the Asia-Pacific. And we've received a lot of support, and thank you very much to our member economies on that. And we're actually engaging on a multi-year work plan discussion on how we can advance that. What does it involve? We're talking about how we can prepare APEC economies, prepare businesses, prepare consumers for this new generation of trade issues. As Panu had mentioned, in 2003, some of the issues that we're looking at that time, certainly very different. Economic landscape was different, geopolitical landscape was different from what we're facing now. So now, in terms of trade, We're not looking at lowering taxes anymore. We've done a great deal over the past 20 years. Now we're looking at new issues such as intellectual property rights, trade and dispute investment, cybersecurity issues, new issues like that, government procurement. These are new issues that we need to talk about and address and be prepared for as well. On connecting, again, we've addressed issues of supply chain disruptions, connecting consumers and producers, or even digital infrastructure, bridging the digital divide. These are all issues that are ongoing, and we're making a lot of progress in terms of smart cities. Now we're actually moving from smart cities to sustainable cities as well, the concept of well-being. So I think what we're seeing here is we're continuously building up on what we've been working on throughout the years. And last but not least, on the issue of balance. And the concept that we're introducing this year on the BCG economy model, it's precisely what you've mentioned, the key word of this change in mindset. A change in mindset of how we approach the way we live, seeking more balance, the way we do business, the way we approach nature, how we view nature, learning to live in coexistence. And certainly our youth plays a very important role in this. You guys are our future, and also the students who are here today. And it was wonderful to hear them talk about this great perspective that they have on the importance of learning, being open to all of these thoughts, and collecting all of this experience. And hopefully you'll bring it all together in the work and the research areas that you're working on. So for that reason, we're very optimistic on this. And what we hope to continuously bring up is that the work that we do, granted that the geopolitical issues certainly have economic consequences that we're all experiencing, as has been pointed out. But I think APEC was formed on the core belief that we could come together to work together towards our shared values of economic development, of growth and prosperity, sustainable growth and development for everyone's benefit. It's not just to benefit any one particular economy at all. So hopefully we will be able to overcome differences, and focus on the issues at hand that will benefit the people in the APEC region.
One of the main goals from APEC 2022 this year in Thailand is Bangkok goals. So what's in it, and especially how will it relate to food security?
Sure. With the Bangkok goals on the BCG economy, we have 4 goals, and it very much reflects all of the keywords that all of our panelists have mentioned today. The first goal is on climate action. We're addressing the issue of climate change, and these 4 goals are goals that all 21 member economies have agreed on. The second goal is certainly on open trade and investment. The third goal that we are working on, yes, it's right here on screen. The third goal that we're talking about is the sustainable management of resources and the conservation of the environment and biodiversity. And the fourth goal is on sustainable waste management, hoping towards zero waste. And certainly in the first goal of climate action, we're also looking at net zero greenhouse gas emissions as well. So these are all, it encapsulates, I think, the different policies that different economies are working on. And what I'd like to point out is this BCG concept. It's actually not a new concept. It's a synergy between the bioeconomy, the circular economy, and the green economy, which are concepts that economies around the world, countries around the world are already involved and they're already acting. Singapore has their green plan, Japan has their green plan as well, Canada is working on the circular economy. So we're all doing our part, but what we're doing is just bringing these 3 different economies together and synergizing it for the total effect of it. Now with the Bangkok goals on the BCG, with the goals, certainly to carry it out and to implement it, we have enablers as well. So we've identified the 4 enablers of a conducive regulatory framework, capacity building, facility and quality infrastructure, and certainly this global network. And today we're certainly here building on this global network across generations, across sectors, across areas, and across fields as well. And the aim of this paper is certainly for it to be endorsed at the leaders level in November. So we're very much excited for this to happen. And this actually builds on, again, on existing work that APEC economies are already working on. And we hope to also have a living compendium which compiles all the best practices from APEC economy so that MSMEs, they can also share, learn from what is going on. And what we hope to do is also from this increase access, certainly, both access to technology, access to finances, to women, to disadvantaged groups as well, for a more level playing field, essentially.
Thank you very much. So many agendas to pursue to achieve Bangkok goals this year. Kun Sirichet, I just like to listen to your view from business perspective. How would you collaborate between private and public sector? Because APEC has so many goals, so many objectives, but to work in tandem between private and public sector, what's your recommendation?
Okay, but now because we just a SME company in Thailand, right? But our product is a future foods, but we cannot start by myself in the beginning. But we would like to cooperate with the public sector and any government. But I think for the startup, for the SME, must dare to ask and consult and ask to any government, any university. But for this year, for my company, but this year I will try to go to any university in Thailand. There's something like KMITL. We have the food side that they already expert for the future food, for the food side, for the BCG, right? But I think the company must should go to the university first, and go to for any government. But now the BCG economy is pretty big goal for the any government. Something like Department Trade Promotion, DTN. Yeah. Every government, every department in the government focus on the BCG, but I think the company can go to them. But now our company also cooperate with any country too, because we try to use the APEC country about the advantage. But now we try to talk with the Singapore because the Singapore university they have they keep moving. Some part is better than us. There's some technology, but we also have the advantage. But any country we have a different advantage, right? But we try to get which country we have which advantage. We go to ask them and suggest them and cooperate with them. But we also but this year our company we use an internship from Thailand. From the many university come to the focus on the food security, on the food waste. But we try to focus about the BCG, about the food waste, about the recycle packaging. Also for the next year, we get an internship from the Singapore, something like this.
So your main aim is to work more collaboration more with university level. Yep. But Dr. Nattha, how can you attract business sector, especially Thai business sector, back to Thailand to have closer collaboration instead of him going to Singapore?
Actually, we have this service in our school. We have the academic service for the entrepreneur, especially for the mini SME. We consult first for free, and after that, if they want to join the project, just a little bit of the budget and some support from the government too. And for me, our institution and in Thailand, we have this kind of the service from Food Innopolis. Maybe some persons can hear this. Food Innopolis is the government support under the Nattha. We are in one network, from the Food Innopolis too. And we work together with the problems from the entrepreneur and also some kinds of the food samples for the analysis. Join everything and also the training together. And this strongly support on us. But if we want to more completions and success referee, for me, I hope government to establish or to set up the excellence center for food Yeah, and work very strongly with the entrepreneur, because actually we have some unit from the government, but some establishment don't connect together. This is the one problem. And Food Innopolis set up for network and link the university, link together. This is the very good point. And my mention, this excellence center could work very strong, and also some kind of the one-stop service, and also service to the mini SMEs, to the large company, and also support for the human resource, and also the deep tech transfer, and also the international or inter-collaboration, and also try to make the strategy for the patent. Because for the patent issue, we are in the academic part. This is very weak point. Yeah. But we have this service. But sometimes some kind of intellectual property is still not go to the commercial. This one is why they go to the Singapore. Okay, thank you.
It seems there are so many issues that Thailand have to be working on, from business sector, university, and back to the government sector. Kun Pasini, what would be the program, or what's your plan to work more or to promote more collaboration with university sector and business sector?
Okay, well, actually, for the mechanism, APEC mechanism that I mentioned earlier is PPFS, and that PPFS, the member of PPFS is kind of like government sectors, private sectors, academies, and also relevant stakeholders. And for Thailand, the member of the PPFS is my office, Thai Chamber of Commerce, and also National Farmer Council. So I mean that in the meeting every year of PPFS, we are trying to exchange capacity building in terms of the policies, and we'll listen to the government sector, private sector of each economies in terms of what their program doing. For example, like in Singapore, I have to mention again, because for PPFS, we have the representative from Singapore, and they have done a lot of research in terms of the fishery and also the agricultural technical cooperation. So I mean, this is something that we can really learn, and we can connect the university to the PPFS. And also each year we have the capacity program, which is the either APEC self-funded or APEC funded. And then there are so many programs that the academia can be involved and can sharing expertise in the field that they have. For example, we have the food loss and waste workshop every year under the PPFS. And also we will have the smart agriculture from Korea. And we also have some kind of like a very technical, like an antimicrobial, something like that we can really invite the academias, the university to take part, to be both the speaker and to be the participant. And I think this is something that we can connect it to both private sector and also the academia.
You mentioned Singapore and South Korea. Are they the two best practices that Thailand can learn from, or do you have other examples from APEC members?
Well, actually, for the program, the self-funded, we can call it project, self-funded project. We have several economies that involve. For example, we have from China, we have from Chinese Taipei, we have from the U.S., and also I think we don't have the policy that fit all, but it depends on the condition of each economies. You can really learn from each other, and how can you adapt that fit to your condition, local condition of your economies. I think this is because APEC is something that capacity is very important because we have differentiate of the economies. We have developed economy, we have developing economies. We try to reduce the gaps between those economies by providing the capacity building. This is the main tools of APEC.
Thank you very much. Kun Prahanu, what's your view on the role of the media in order to bridge the gap or to be like middle man or middle player to promote understanding or importance of food security?
I think media plays a very important role, but at the same time, policymakers also need to frame, the situation in such a way that food security is one of the primary concerns. I think media can play that role in kind of pointing out, I guess, where sort of the shortcomings, pointing out the issues, whether it's short-term, medium-term, long-term, whether it's the war, whether it's trade disruption, whether it's the lack of infrastructure, lack of developmental. We're talking about how APEC has such a diverse members, economies, developing and developed economies, whether that plays an issue in food security in the medium term. And of course, the ultimate climate change, it's such a challenge, as you probably realize as well as a member of the media, in how do we present new stories about a crisis that is very, very long term, right? But I think this is a challenge for both policymakers and the media in trying to make the public understand what is at stake here. This is not just a meeting of leaders in an annual basis. This is something that people are getting together to try to do more for the long term, for the planet, and not just for the APEC economies, in fact, but it's for the entire world. So I think that is important. I think the media can play that role, not only to present what is being said, not only to present what the leaders are saying, but also probe and raise questions, right, about what are the shortcomings, what needs to be done, what is not being addressed yet.
And what do you think the media member can do more in order to help promote this important event in Thailand? Because right now, when Thai people mention, they would probably think about holidays during 16 to 18 of November. That's all that could be probably quite meaningful for Thai people. So what should be the role of Thai media to help promote the agenda?
Well, yeah, I'm in the international media, but in terms of media stories in general, I think it is the challenge for the local media especially to somehow present APEC and issues that will be raised, whether it's food security, whether it's other areas, present an issue in a way that is tangible, that is, that members of the public can easily understand. But these are not foreign issues. Trade, food security, free and open relations between economies. These are not new issues. These are classic issues that have real implication on people's lives. So the challenge to the local media is to find a way to tell that story. Some of these agreements are being done, some of these goals, the Bangkok goal, the 2030 food security goal, are being realized or are taking a step closer. What does that mean to the ordinary person on the street? What does that mean for your average farmers? What does that mean for people who are into import-export business? There's implication for all of them, and the challenge for us in the media sector is to present those stories so that people better understand why these leaders are meeting, why these ministers, why these SOMs are meeting in various places and time across this year. And for Thailand, I think, having been involved in 2003 at the MFA, not as a media person, and now involved this year as a media person, I think we've done quite well overall in trying to connect sort of the public with what is going on. And I think with the leaders coming, I think there will be, despite the holiday, I think there's still going to be a fair degree of public interest. And I think that's where you can push, things that are important, the content that are important from these meetings to make the public better understand how that's going to impact their lives.
But the spotlight on Thailand would be quite crucial, isn't it? Because during that week, we would have ASEAN Summit in Phnom Penh, and G20 in Bali, Indonesia, and then APEC in Thailand. APEC would be the last session. How do you think of the sentiment among international media? Spotlight on Thailand in particular would be like the last stretch, and the attention of the media would be declined, especially if we compare with G20 and ASEAN.
I think to be sort of perfectly honest and fair, I think the earlier summits, the ASEAN, especially the G20, will hog a lot of the spotlight for sure, especially in the areas of geopolitics, especially in the areas where sort of leaders of superpowers, concern. But with Thailand, with APEC, a lot of the issues here are much broader, are much more about trade and economics. And I still think that there's going to be a fair bit of attention on Thailand and the way, first of all, the way that Thailand's going to host this summit, but secondly, some of the issues that are going to come out of it, I think will be very crucial, and I think the international media will still be focusing on some of those issues because it concerns broader trade issues, whereas the geopolitical narrative is constantly shifting and changing, and it's not just about this meeting or that meeting. It's an ongoing thing. So I think Thailand can really distinguish ourselves really by, we're going to be from what we've done in 2003, I think we're going to be a very good host. But at the same time, pushing these agenda, these discussions that have been taking place throughout the year, and making people understand, I think there's still going to be a fair bit of interest on that for sure.
Ambassador King, what can you share with us the practice which happening in New Zealand, because you have to keep the agenda going the whole year toward the end of the year for APEC meeting, and what's the interest among media and New Zealand people about APEC?
I think APEC is a very newsworthy event. It is something like 38%, I think, of the world's population, 47% of the world's trade in the APEC economies. So it matters. It is a big, big deal that Thailand is hosting it this year. So I don't think there'll be any shortage of international media interest in APEC. And that's been our experience in the past, and I think the experience of other countries who have hosted previous APECs. I think that the challenge for us as policymakers is to bring to life the issues for the media, as has been said before. But there is a direct correlation between, for example, food safety and media interests. We know, for example, that food waste, if we can as policymakers get food across borders more easily and reduce the amount of food waste, that will make a huge difference for people's lives and make a huge difference for farmers. We need to understand what food production is doing to the environment, so measuring emissions on food production, reporting on the emissions of food production are issues that are vitally important to our long-term well-being and are newsworthy. Those are just two examples.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. What about Dr. Olive? The agenda in Thailand this year, main theme is BCG economy. How does it resonate to policymakers in Washington, in the US government, and what's your plan to pursue this kind of the same theme in the US next year?
Not only does the biocircular green economy resonate in Washington, it's codified in our communique that our Secretary of State signed with Deputy Prime Minister Dawn in July. The communique is a strategic alliance between the U.S. and Thailand, and in the communique we commit to those principles in the biocircular green economy. And so I can give you a couple of examples. First, our U.S. trade and our U.S. Trade and Development Agency is providing $700,000 for a feasibility study to VAO Energy, a Thailand corporation, to build a new recycling plant for plastics here in Thailand. Secondly, we at USAID are working with the Royal Thai government on identifying and prosecuting illegal fishing. And often fish and seafood is an overlooked importance in the food supply chain. In fact, fish and fisheries and seafood is a very important source of nutrition and protein around the world. And so here in Thailand, we've been working in Udon Thani to work on a fish passage along the Mekong. 70% of the fish, the freshwater fish in the Mekong, migrate up and down the Mekong River, yet there are hydroelectric dams that are very important, and there are agricultural farms that need the irrigation water from the Mekong. And so we're working on allowing those developments to happen, but have fish passages so that the fish can continue to migrate up and down the Mekong and maintain that very important source for the food supply here in the Mekong region.
Thank you very much. Now let me move on to our young gen, Ms. Thanyasini and Kun Pichaya. Can you tell us what do you think is your role to help promote food security as the representative of youth generation?
Hello. Okay. I think that education is very important, and especially in dietary education. So if we talk about medicine nowadays, we are not talking about how to cure the disease, but we are talking about how to prevent the disease. And 1 in 5 people around the world is dying of poor diet. Like having high salt intake can destroy your kidney. That's basic knowledge. That how can we make it, be acknowledged around the world, and especially in Bangkok and also in Thailand, that dietary education is quite important. And I think that is how can we advocate and also ensure that there is sustainable and food security.
Ms. Thanyasini.
Yes, for me, I would prefer to teach people about the GMO, like the genetically modified organisms. Like you see in the supermarket now, we have a lot of those fruits and vegetables that are GMO, but to prevent in food insecurity and food waste, because those are related, I feel like people should be more concerned about that those products that looks improper or not perfect, you can actually use that as well, and they are as nutritious and as healthy and tasty as well.
That's very crucial, GMO, because people must really be aware about it. Thank you very much. I think it's about time for questions from the floor or from live streaming. If you have any question, please collect one for me. Any questions? So we can open for 2 questions. I see the hand up there, and then the lady here in front. Please introduce yourself.
Hello,
and then...
My name is Tashanon. I'm a student from the Faculty of Information Technology. I would like to ask, what role can information and communication technology play in food security apart from connecting producers and consumers?
Do you like to ask any person in particular?
Anyone is fine.
About the connection of the role of communications.
I would like to ask, what role can information technology play in food security apart from connecting consumers and producers?
Okay, the role of information technology. Yep. Yes, Ambassador, please. Thank you.
Well, I'm hardly an expert in technology, but one area where it does play a role, which APEC is working on, is to move to paperless customs processes. because we know that if we can do everything digitally, we can get goods across borders far more cheaply and far easier than through existing systems. So that's one example of using technology. Another example of using technology is in New Zealand. We are using technology to develop apples that will be able to be grown in the changing climate that we are all facing.
So that's precision farming.
Correct.
Thank you very much. Some more questions?
Thank you very much. My name is Bernd Christiansen. I'm from the German Embassy. I'm responsible for agriculture and food, all issues in this section. And I would very much thank you for the invitation for this meeting, for this event here. I think the discussion was very valuable, very good. But I would like to add one question and one issue to this, to the topic of food security. We also need coherence in policy. When we talk about, let's say, the ministers of agriculture of the APEC countries have agreed to finally turn agriculture, or to make agriculture capable to feed the people in the world in 2050. We will be between 9 and 10, maybe 11 billion people on the earth, and we need to change agriculture. In order to change agriculture, we need access to, let's say, technological progress, to the innovations that have been developed. But at the same time, we have to state that some of the rules within the government do not allow to enter to those new innovations. For example, there's a list of products that have to be registered before they can enter Thailand. This competence to decide which on this list had been moved from the Department of Agriculture to the Ministry of Agriculture and Cooperatives. But since 2018, this administrative decision has not been taken in order to allow the Ministry of Agriculture to do the registration process. So that means in practical, since 2018, no new products, let's say for plant protection, have been able to enter into this country. So there I think we need coherence in policy. Do not request to do something without enabling the institutions. Another coherence I think is necessary to look at is Thailand is a powerful country, is a good country in export of agricultural products. And Thailand is, if we look at the food, at the fruit sector, very strong, also obeying to all the healthy conditions in order to export. But if we look at the internal and the products that enter the markets internally here in Thailand, there's no control about it. Nothing will happen if the MRLs have been passed, if the maximum residual levels have been passed. So this food doesn't apply or doesn't obey to the rules. But in reality, this food will be consumed by the population of Thailand, by the people who live in Thailand. And as you said, we need healthy food. We have to do something about this too. So this is another incoherence in the policy. I just don't want to blame it. I just want to put the light on it and allow the government to react to it. Maybe you can say something to this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think this question probably Ms. Pasini can respond to the question, but while you can be thinking about the answer, let the lady in front ask more question. Ambassador, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Millicent Paredes. I am the ambassador of the Philippines, one of the 21 member economies of APEC. Now, I'd like to thank the panel for a very enlightening discussion this afternoon. The discussion touched on a lot of important issues, but I'd like to focus on two, which is food security and climate change. These issues, as Kun Panu already said earlier, they are not so, how do we call, sexy and attractive to common people. I would think it could even be an intangible and abstract concept to a lot of people. But I just would like to mention that the other day until yesterday, the Philippines was battered by another super typhoon. And this super typhoon is now in Vietnam, I believe, and it's on its way to Thailand. I read this morning that it's expected to arrive by Thursday. So all of a sudden, this abstract concept of food security and climate change are not so abstract anymore, because it has destroyed lives, it has destroyed property, livelihood. It's not a threat anymore because it's actually happening already. So I just would like to know how Thailand and perhaps media in this year's APEC would communicate how APEC would actually help farmers and ordinary people in terms of very tangible issues like livelihood and lives and daily living. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. So, Kun Panu, you have time to think about it. Can we have one more question? Yep. This one, please.
Hi, my name is Wibu from Faculty of Engineering here. I'd like to ask the question regarding the SDG, which is actually relating to the food security. Number 2, right? And also number 12, and number, actually, oh, well, what's that? The food, animal on land, animal on in the sea. But anyhow, so are we going to make it? I mean, we're talking about this thing for the longest time here, and we're talking about food security that, you know, there are over 800 million people actually in the world here that actually go to bed every night hungry, including me actually, because I haven't eaten since last night. But that's put that joke aside. How are we going to help that? Because actually, I think all the food problem here are associated with the poverty, right? And actually, that's one of the very first things that we actually have to look into and actually try to help. Because if you have no money to buy or purchasing any food here, how are they going to actually think about some other thing? And that is actually number one important thing, priority that we actually have to put. So yeah. So my question is actually, how are we going to make it, right? 2030, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you. So you mean your question is about how to solve food security to solve poverty? Okay. Probably you can help answering the question. So Ms. Pasini first.
Okay. Thank you very much for all questions that related to food security. And on behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture, I can answer in the context that lie into my office. And first of all, regarding the policy coherence, I mean, for APEC economies, we have the mechanism that I mentioned, which is PPFS and also the Food Security Ministerial Meeting. This is something where APEC member economies try to think about the challenges we are facing and try to find the solution. But the solution cannot happen today. but we need time to develop it. So it means that the roadmap, I mean, how can I say it? The roadmap address the challenges. For example, we go for digitalization and innovation. We go for productivity. We need to efficiency of productivities. We go for inclusivity that all groups in the region, SME, women and youth can come together and be involving more in the food security agenda, and also the empowering. And we have the sustainabilities, and also we have the public-private partnership in terms of we can coherent not only for government but also for the private sectors. And for the regulation that you just mentioned, I mean, in the implementation plan or in the chart statement, we are mentioned about the effective regulation, especially for food safety. And you mentioned about the MRL, which is something that normally we negotiated under codex, under the FAO. But in APEC, we have different standard and conformance. We try to make it into a similar thing, but sometimes it's difficult because each economy has different standard on its own. But we can really ask APEC economies to think about the better, the one that we can accept for all economies. And for the SDG 2 and SDG 11, actually that fall into the food securities. And in the chart statement, we mentioned about the SDG 2 that anything that we state in the roadmap or in the implementation plan can really enhance the achievement of SDG 2. And actually for FAO, they have the evaluation saying that we are, I mean, policy maker in many economies are far behind to reach the achievement of SDG 2. I mean, we all of us, all economies and also any country in this world need to step forward, try to achieving the food security together. And for the climate change, which is very important, and we see, we have seen the effect from climate change. And in the roadmap, we think about how we can really mitigate the greenhouse gas emission and also the adaptation by applying the climate smart agriculture. Thanks for the USA. And also the farmer, you asked about how we can remedy or mitigate farmers' the destruction of their crop plantation. I mean, in Thailand, the government have the budget. We will see that each area has been destroyed by the weather, and the crop destruction has been damaged, and we can pay them as a remedy or mitigate. Compensate them for their loss. I think this is something that we are trying. I mean, Ministry of Agriculture is stand beside farmers. We trying to improve their livelihoods. We trying to educate them, trying to ask them to be smart farmers, and also to use the technology and innovation in their practice in order to have the more stable crop yields, and also trying to find a way in terms of we have been how can I say, we have been affecting from the flooding many years, and the research and development can do their part. They have they invent the seed that the rice can grow far beyond the flooding, and they don't got the damage by the flood. So this is something that Ministry of Agriculture has been doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pasini. So many issues relating to agricultural
ministry. Kun Phanu, we'd like to hear from you the role of the media, especially to see the outcome from climate change.
Thank you, Ambassador, for the question. I have to be honest in terms of, as a working media profession, and Kun Nattha will probably say similar things, but as far as the summit and the APEC meeting goes, I think coverage would just be limited on the meeting itself and some of the key issues that come out of it. Having said that, climate change, food security, these are long-standing themes and trends that are reported upon. I know it's less sexy, it's less, it's more difficult, I guess, to get the point out there. You know, what is new about it, what is the public interested in it. But I'll tell you this, I work in an organization where we have 3,000 reporters. Some of them work, their lifespan is by the minute. They updated stock prices, they updated commodity prices. Some of them, like myself, is in the middle somewhere where we work, you know, maybe 2-3 stories a day. And there are some that works, maybe their lifespan for their stories, 6 months, a year, 2 years. And those are the important stories, especially when it comes concerning climate or food security. And how is that related to APEC? Well, whatever the leaders are discussing, whatever the officials are discussing, you know, is part of a greater effort, right, to address these problems. It will be part of a greater story that show how changes, you know, how things are being impacted by climate. I can think of some of the stories that some of my colleagues are working on, not in great details, of course, but issues with changing agricultural landscape, let's say in the Mekong Delta in South Vietnam, for example, you know, impacted by hydropower development, impacted by the changing ecological system in the Mekong River. That's one big story in this region. You know, I can think of other big stories in parts of Africa, in parts of, you know, the Middle East, Central Asia, about changes in agricultural patterns. Those stories requires a longer working time frame. And in many ways, whatever the leaders and officials are discussing, it will be part of this greater conversation. The meeting is not just about reporting on the meeting. The meeting is here to discuss issues and set goals and make things easier to explain or clarify things. And it's an ongoing process, right? This year is Thailand, next year is the US, and so on and so forth. Those will be reflected, I guess, in one of, you know, these bigger reporting. I know a colleague who working on looking at, you know, glacier in the Himalayas, you know, the melting rate and that sort of stuff. It doesn't sound that sexy, but it's important work, and it takes a long time, and a lot of collaboration with scientific community and so on and so forth. But I think it is important to recognize that the meeting is one thing. The problem the world faces is also, it's a bigger issue. I think as answering as an honest, you know, journalist, you work on both. You report on the meetings, and then you're reporting on the greater issues that hopefully by reporting on the meeting, you can bring some of the points out and relate it, you know, to the bigger story.
Thank you very much, Kun Phanu. It's quite challenging for the media member community to really cover this kind of event, but it's very fruitful to give insight to audience and readers. Because I really have to wrap up our session, but we have 2 important questions, and I think you can address, but I really have to give time limit to you, probably not beyond 1 minute. Mr. Olive, what is the incoming host the U.S. is expecting from Thailand for outcome regarding food security from this meeting?
Repeat that again, please.
What is the U.S. expect from Thailand in terms of food security? What's the outcome you expect from Thailand as the host of this year in terms of food security?
Yeah, thank you for that question, and it ties into the first question that we received from the audience as well, and that is summed up in one word, and that's innovation. Trust me, the representatives of the 21 economies that go to APEC are not innovators. they get the information on new technologies and innovations from the private sector, from universities such as this wonderful establishment here. We rely on our universities, private sector, and others to tell us about what are the new innovations that we should be discussing at APEC, so that we can talk about then turning on, and to also a question from our German colleague of then how can we translate that into policies that allow for that innovation to come forward to address food security and other issues facing the Asia-Pacific region.
Thank you very much for incoming host next year. But for this year, for Thailand as the current host, the question is, will it be an obstacle to agree on a leader's declaration in food security? Obstacles in the meeting. And how will Thailand be prepared to cope with the situation?
Okay, with regards to the issue of food security, at the leaders' meeting, there actually won't be a specific discussion on food security. The food security was already discussed, as my colleague had mentioned, during the ministerial meeting on food security, and where the roadmap on food security towards 2030 was discussed. And there were obstacles. I think Kunpasani could share many interesting stories, and they had successfully overcome them very well. I really have to kudos to my colleague here in terms of handling that situation. How did they do it? Through both diplomatically and also very skillfully in terms of managing the discussions in the meeting room, managing the negotiations during the drafting session as well. So yes, there are ways that we have been discussing in terms of how to approach this. I'd just like to quickly address the question on poverty reduction that was asked. Excuse me. Just wanted to share a statistic and an achievement from APEC actually. From 1994 to 2018, APEC actually successfully managed to reduce the incidence of poverty from 58.5% of the population and reduce it down to 8.3% of the population. And so this is something that we might not be very much aware of because, APEC, we talk about trade investment, but it's essentially our approach from these different aspects that have helped reduce poverty in the Asia-Pacific region. So through facilitating trade and investment, through digital technology, through connecting through trade, travel, and certainly right now we're looking to make this sustainable through sustainable trade and economic development, and balanced, of course. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's about time now to end this session of roundtable discussion on food security for APEC 2020. And let me thank all the panelists who share all your views and your insights from your perspective, and that make this discussion very enriching and very fruitful for all of us to have food for thought. And then we can see what the outcome will be coming up from the APEC leaders meeting in November this year in Thailand, especially on food security. Thank you very much. And let me return the floor to MC. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nattha, Komolvadhin, Director of ThaiPBS. A big round of applause for the stage, please. Ladies and gentlemen, food security is defined by Food and Agriculture Organization as the situation when all people at all times have physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food that meets their dietary needs and food preference for an active and healthy life. So to feed the world in the year 2050, we need to increase the total global food production up to 70%. All right, so this will be increasingly challenging for Thailand. And also the APEC economies to consider, and we can consider this as a significant opportunity for the countries in moving toward further steps in global markets and also in the global food industry with all of the foundation we have. All right, on behalf of everyone here today, I would like to sincerely present our gratitude to our guests and for the very informative and inspiring talk today. And on this occasion, may I invite Associate Professor Dr. Komsan Malisi, Acting President of KMITL, to present the tokens of appreciation to our speaker on the stage, please. Sir. Of course, and first, may I invite Ms. Prinat Apirat, Deputy Director General from the Department of International Economic Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, please.
And next, may I invite Ms. Pasini Napampet, Senior Policy and Plan Analyst, Office of Agricultural Economics, Ministry of Agriculture and Cooperatives.
Thank you very much, the Acting President of KMITL, Dr. Komsan Malisi. And may I invite Mr. Thani Sangrat, Director General, Department of Information, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, on the stage, please. And may I invite the representative from academia and private sector. First, Associate Professor Dr. Napatrapi Leungsakul, Dean of School of Food Industry, KMITL, please.
And may I invite Mr. Sirishet Jirapong Watana, CEO, Mantra Plant-Based Seafood.
And next, the representative from media, Mr. Panu Wongchaum, Senior Correspondent for Reuters and President of Foreign Correspondents Club of Thailand.
And next, Ms. Thanyasini Ratanapon, student of Culinary Science and Food Service Management Program, KMITL.
And another representative from KMITL student, Mr. Pichaya Pichaironrong Songkram, student from the Faculty of Medicine.
And for the representative from the APEC member economies, may I invite His Excellency Mr. Jonathan Kings, Ambassador of New Zealand to Thailand, previous host economy.
And from the US, Dr. Steve Olive, Director, USAID, Regional Development Mission for Asia, Embassy of the United States of America to Thailand.
Next, may I invite Dr. Nattha Komolvadhin, Director of ThaiPBS World, ThaiPBS.
And may I again invite Associate Professor Dr. Komsan Malis on the stage, please. So there will be an exchange of token of appreciation between KMITL and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Yes, on this occasion, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs present to KMITL. And then KMITL to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And may I invite all the guests on the stage for a photo group, please, in front. Thank you very much. So we have this last photo session. Everyone, please step forward. Thank you. Yes.
And we hope that the information and suggestions you received were useful. I, for one, have learned much from today's discussion. Moreover, we appreciate having you all with us at this time.
And next, may I also invite all the guests from the ambassadors to Thailand from other countries on the stage, please. Yes, please. And also representative from the management team from KMITL, please. May I invite all the APEC members on the stage, please.
Like I said before, every person has a right to be able to get food that is both nutritious and plentiful. However, there are many causes leading to the food insecurity. To address the issue, we then have a discussion on the APEC and food security, sustainability beyond global uncertainties today. And I think that our audience get a lot of useful information.
Yes, of course. And now as we reach the end of our fruitful discussion, and I would like to present my deep gratitude to our distinguished guests, panelists, staff, sponsors, and everyone here in the hall. And this event would not have been possible without all of our collaboration today. And now we have come to the end of the 8th APEC Media Focus Group on APEC and food security, sustainability beyond global uncertainties. Thank you very much for today and see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.